Hey there. Tonight we're traveling back, way back, to a time when pyramids weren't just monuments. They were living, breathing centers of power that demanded blood. The year is CE, and you're standing at the base of the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan, feeling the heat of ceremonial fires against your painted skin. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Are you drifting off in New York, Melbourne, London? Wherever you are, you're about to experience something they never taught you in school. The brutal, beautiful, terrifying reality of being a jaguar warrior in the Aztec Empire during the bloodiest rededication ceremony in human history. So dim the lights, get comfortable, pull those blankets up. Tonight you're not just learning history, you're living it. You'll feel the weight of obsidian blades, smell the copal incense mixed with copper-scented air, and understand why survival in this world meant embracing violence as a sacred duty. Kent, this is your story. This is your night. This is the burning mystery of the feathered serpent pyramid. You wake before dawn in your clan house, the Calpulli, where 20 other warriors sleep on woven reed mats. The air smells of yesterday's tamales and the sharp tang of pulque fermenting in clay jars near the entrance. Your body aches, not from yesterday's mock combat training, but from the fever that's been plaguing you for 3 days. In Decisive, even minor illnesses kill approximately 40% of adults before they reach 35. You're 23. Your jaguar pelt cloak lies folded beside you, the spotted fur still stiff with dried blood from your last campaign in Oaxaca. You earned that cloak by capturing 4 enemy warriors alive, dragging them back to Tenochtitlan for sacrifice. The pelt means you're no longer Masiwali, a commoner. You're Pepiltin now, nobility through merit. Your children will inherit this status, if you survive long enough to have children. Outside, the temple drums begin their morning rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. The sound echoes across the lake surrounding this island city, bouncing off thousands of chinampas, the floating gardens that feed 200,000 people. You need to reach the Great Pyramid before the sun rises. Today isn't about war or conquest. Today, the pyramid itself will consume more lives than any battlefield you've witnessed. You stand slowly, ignoring the swimming sensation in your head. Your cotton armor, the Ichkahuipili, hangs on a wooden peg, thick enough to stop most arrows. You pull it on over your loincloth, feeling the familiar weight settle across your shoulders. The armor is soaked with your sweat from yesterday's procession. It hasn't dried, won't dry for weeks. You step out into the network of canals that connect your neighborhood to the rest of Tenochtitlan. The city is built on an island in Lake Texcoco, and even now, before sunrise, you can hear the lap of water against stone embankments. Hundreds of canoes are already moving, carrying flowers, copal incense, rubber balls, and you try not to look. Prisoners bound in wooden yokes heading toward the pyramid. The causeway to the ceremonial district stretches ahead, broad enough for 8 men to walk side by side. You join the flow of people moving toward the sacred center, your bare feet slapping against smooth stone. Everyone is going to witness what your emperor, Ahuizotl, has planned. The pyramid's rededication after years of construction requires a demonstration of power that will echo across Mesoamerica for generations. You pass a woman selling breakfast atoll, a warm corn drink from a clay pot. Your stomach growls, but you can't eat. For 3 days, you fasted in preparation for today's ceremony. Only water and small amounts of amaranth paste have passed your lips. The religious requirement isn't negotiable. Warriors who break fast before sacred rituals are sacrificed alongside the prisoners. The sky begins to lighten, turning from black to deep purple. Venus, the morning star, hangs bright above the eastern mountains. Your people call it Tlahuizcalpantecutli, the Lord of the Dawn. It's an aspect of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Some priests whisper that Venus is angry, that the rededication ceremony is meant to appease the celestial serpent's hunger. Last year, Venus appeared in an unusual position, and 3 months later, earthquakes destroyed villages along the coast. Can you reach the edge of the sacred precinct, where the 4 great pyramids rise like mountains of stone and stucco, painted brilliant white, red, and blue? The Great Pyramid Templo Mayor dominates everything, its twin staircases climbing 114 steep steps to the temples of Tilok and Huitzilopochtli at the summit. From this distance, you can already see smoke rising from the altar fires. The sacred precinct is chaos organized by religion. 20,000 people arranged by social rank in a human pyramid that mirrors the stone pyramid before you. Commoners stand at the periphery, merchants and craftsmen closer to the center. Nobles and warriors, people like you, occupy the inner rings. At the very front, within 20 paces of the pyramid's base, the royal family waits beneath canopies of brilliant Quetzal feathers. You find your position among the other jaguar warriors, recognizing faces from dozens of campaigns. Itzcoatl stands to your right. He captured 6 enemies and wears an eagle headdress to prove it. To your left is Yautl, who lost an eye in the Mixtec Wars and now wears a carved obsidian ball in the empty socket. These men are your brothers, bound by blood spilled and blood shared. The drums intensify. Boom, 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 like a racing heartbeat. Conch shell trumpets wail, their haunting calls echoing off the pyramid's face. You've heard these sounds before battle, but never this loud, never this sustained. The noise physically presses against your chest, making your fever-weakened heart struggle to maintain its rhythm. Several people near you have stuffed cotton in their ears. You should have done the same. Emperor Ahuitzotl emerges from his palace, carried on a litter by 8 bearers. Even from 50 paces away, you can see his regalia, a massive turquoise-encrusted headdress rising 4 feet above his head, jade pectorals covering his chest, gold bands on every limb. He's 43 years old and has ruled for 8 years, expanding the empire farther than any emperor before him. This ceremony celebrates his victories. This ceremony requires his ambition to be written in blood on sacred stone. The emperor ascends the pyramid slowly, stopping at every 13th step to receive blessings from priests who appear from hidden alcoves in the pyramid's face. You count his progress: 13 steps, blessing; 26 steps, blessing; 39 steps, blessing. The mathematical precision of Aztec architecture ensures every measurement aligns with the cosmos, with the cycles of Venus, with the calendar that governs your entire existence. The first prisoner reaches the summit. You can't see the individual. The pyramid's angle and the distance make everyone at the top appear ant-sized. But you can see the general movement, a struggle, a sudden stillness. Then the drums accelerate into a frenzy, and even from 100 paces away, you see the red stream begin its journey down the pyramid's western staircase. Your stomach clenches. You've seen sacrifice before. You've delivered prisoners for sacrifice, but you've never seen it on this scale. According to the official proclamation, 20,000 prisoners will die over the next 4 days. Some scribes whisper the real number is closer to 80,000. You don't know which estimate is worse. Yautl leans close, his voice barely audible over the drums. 4 lines, he says, nodding toward the pyramid. 2 stairs, 2 sides each. They'll process 1 every 2 minutes. If they maintain the rhythm, you do the math automatically, a skill every warrior learns. 30 prisoners per hour per line, 120 per hour total. If they work 16 hours daily, excluding deep night, that's nearly 2,000 per day. 4 days, 8,000 dead. The official number seems suddenly plausible. The sun breaks over the mountains, and the timing is perfect, exactly as the priests calculated. The first ray of light strikes the twin temples at the pyramid's summit, illuminating the shrines of Tlaloc, god of rain, and Huitzilopochtli, god of sun and war. Both gods require blood. Both gods will drink deeply. Today, you notice movement to your left. A young warrior, perhaps 18, newly painted in ocelot spots, is swaying. Before anyone can catch him, he collapses, hitting the flagstone plaza with a sound like a dropped gourd. 2 priests rush forward, examining him quickly, then drag him away by his ankles. You hear someone whisper, fasting too hard. You think, I could be next. The fever in your blood makes the world shimmer at the edges. By mid-morning, the rhythm of sacrifice has become mundane, almost meditative. The drums never stop. The lines never stop moving. Blood doesn't just stream down the stairs anymore. It flows in small rivers, pooling at the pyramid's base where specially designated priests use straw brooms to sweep it toward drainage channels. The smell reaches you, copper mixed with copal incense and the sweet sour scent of open bodies under hot sun. You breathe through your mouth. Your military training taught you to compartmentalize horror, to witness death and continue functioning. Every warrior learns this by age 15 when you're first required to observe your own captured enemy being sacrificed. You remember that day, the prisoner, a Tlaxcalan fighter you'd clubbed, unconscious and dragged 12 miles, looked at you before the obsidian blade opened his chest. He smiled. You never understood why. Today, watching the industrial efficiency of mass death, you understand that smile differently. It was relief. The prisoners come from everywhere your empire has conquered. Mixtecs with elaborate lip plugs, Zapotecs with distinctive facial tattoos, Huastecs from the Gulf Coast with pointed filed teeth, Totonacs from Veracruz, even some distant Mayans from the far southeast, speaking languages you don't recognize. All of them will die in the same way, held down by 4 priests while a 5th opens their chest and removes their still-beating heart. Yeah, Itzcoatl says something, but you can't hear him over the drums. He repeats it, louder. They're feeding the skull rack. You look toward the Tsampantliti, the massive wooden structure east of the pyramid where tens of thousands of skulls are displayed on horizontal poles. New skulls are being added constantly, threaded onto the poles while their eye sockets still drip. The structure stretches 200 feet long, 60 feet high. Spanish conquistadors will arrive in 32 years and count the skulls. They'll estimate 60,000. They'll think they're exaggerating. They're not. Your fever spikes suddenly, and the world tilts. You don't fall. Years of military discipline keep your legs locked, but you sway enough that Yodel grabs your arm. Hold, he whispers urgently. Hold, or they'll drag you up there too. He's right. Any warrior who faints during the ceremony will be interpreted as favored by the gods, immediately stripped and added to the sacrifice line. It's considered an honor. You don't want that honor. Noon arrives, measured by shadow poles in the plaza that priests monitor constantly. The shadow points north, dead north, exact. The drums change rhythm, faster, more aggressive. This signals the transition from morning sacrifices to Huitzilopochtli to afternoon sacrifices for Tlaloc. Your people believe the universe requires balance. Sun god and rain god must both drink deeply, or cosmic chaos follows. Drought or flood, famine or pestilence. The knife must cut ceaselessly to maintain equilibrium. You're given permission to sit. Everyone is. The assembly has stood for 6 hours, and dozens have collapsed from heat, fasting, and the sheer psychological weight of witnessing industrial-scale death. You lower yourself carefully to the flagstones, and the coolness of the stone against your fevered skin feels miraculous. Yautl sits beside you. Itzcoatl remains standing, always needing to prove his strength. Women move through the assembly carrying water gourds. You're allowed one small drink, enough to wet your throat but not enough to break your fast. The water tastes like heaven and earth simultaneously, sweet from the mountain springs that feed the city's aqueducts, slightly bitter from the clay gourd. You force yourself to take only 3 sips when you could drain the entire vessel. Discipline separates warriors from prisoners. Around you, people talk in low voices. A merchant behind you describes the economic impact of this ceremony. 20,000 prisoners mean 20,000 sets of clothing, jewelry, and personal items that will be distributed or sold. The meat, you try not to hear this part, will be distributed to noble households. Your people don't practice cannibalism as the Spanish will later claim, but ritual consumption of sacrificed warriors is different. It's religious communion consuming the bravery of the dead. You've participated. You'll participate again. The practice doesn't make you a savage, it makes you Aztec. Yaquiatl points toward a group of children being led near the pyramid's base by white-robed priests. Telok requires them, he explains unnecessarily. You know the theology, the rain god prefers children's tears. The priests will take those children to Telok's shrine at the summit, and, before the sacrifice, show them obsidian mirrors and make frightening faces until the children cry. More tears mean more rain. It's practical theology based on centuries of agricultural observation. It's also nightmare fuel that you'll carry in your mind until you die. Afternoon stretches into a strange form of endurance. You remain seated, watching the shadow poles track the sun's journey across the sky. The drums never cease. The lines never stop. You begin to recognize individual prisoners as they move up the stairs. Their distinct walking styles, their attempts at dignity, their collapse into terror as they near the summit. One man, a Mixtec judging by his gold nose plug, stops halfway up the stairs and begins singing. The acoustics of the pyramid amplify his voice across the entire plaza. You don't understand his language, but the melody is defiant. The priests let him finish his song before dragging him the rest of the way. Your fever breaks suddenly, a cold sweat replacing the hot one. This is worse somehow. Now you're shivering under the hot sun, your teeth chattering, your body unable to regulate temperature. Yautl notices and removes his own cloak, draping it over your shoulders, despite the heat. The sickness takes different men different ways, he says quietly. My brother died of the spotted fever last year. He went cold at the end too. His words aren't comforting, but they're honest. You respect that. A priest approaches your section of warriors, carrying a clay bowl filled with cacao mixed with blood. This is the warrior communion, the drink that binds you to the gods and to the sacrificed. Each warrior takes a small sip. When the bowl reaches you, you stare into it. The liquid is thick, dark red-brown, smelling of chocolate, copper, and the aromatic flowers they add to mask the blood's taste. You drink. The mixture is warm, almost hot, coating your throat. You hand the bowl to Yautl, who drinks without hesitation. A commotion erupts at the pyramid's base. A prisoner has broken free from his guards, sprinting toward the crowd. He makes it 20 paces before spear-wielding guards intercept him, driving their obsidian-tipped weapons through his thighs to stop him without killing him. He must be sacrificed at the summit. Death elsewhere would anger the gods. They drag him screaming back to the pyramid. You watch with the detachment that comes from fever and 3 days of religious fasting. Part of you admires his courage. Part of you thinks him foolish. Mostly you feel nothing. Kent. The shadow poles show 4 hours until sunset. The ceremony will continue after dark, illuminated by massive braziers that will make the pyramid look like a burning mountain. You wonder if you'll live to see it. Your cold sweat intensifies, and your vision begins to tunnel at the edges. You don't remember deciding to stand, but you're on your feet, Yaudel supporting your left side, Itzcoatl suddenly appearing to support your right. They're walking you somewhere, away from the assembly. You try to speak, to tell them you can't leave. Abandoning the ceremony means dishonor, but your tongue feels too thick for your mouth. The drums follow you, their rhythm now matching your heartbeat exactly. Or maybe your heartbeat has synchronized with the drums. You can't tell anymore. They bring you to a small temple behind the main plaza. A medical temple where priests who specialize in healing maintain their supplies. The interior is cool, dark, fragrant with herbs you recognize, tobacco for ritual and medicine, datura for visions and pain relief, halap for fevers. A priest examines you quickly, pulling back your eyelids, pressing his fingers against your throat, smelling your sweat. The spotted fever, he confirms. He should have stayed home. Why did he come? He's a jaguar, Itzcoatl answers, as if that explains everything. It does, really. Jaguars don't miss the pyramid's rededication. Jaguars don't show weakness. Jaguars die standing. This is your culture's expectation. This is the cage that nobility creates. You wanted to escape the commoner's life, and you succeeded. Now you're trapped in a different way. The priest mixes something. You see him crushing dried flowers, adding liquid from multiple clay containers, heating the mixture over a small brazier. The smell is bitter, medicinal. He brings it to your lips. Drink all of it. It will either save you or ease your journey to Mictlan. Mictlan is the underworld, the place where most people go after death. It's not paradise. It's not hell. It's just continuation. 9 levels deep, a journey taking 4 years, ending in dissolution into nothing. You drink. Yake. The mixture tastes like rotted flowers and burnt metal. Your stomach rebels immediately, and you vomit black bile onto the temple floor. The priest nods approvingly. Good. The sickness fights back. That means you have strength left. He refills the cup. You drink again. This time you keep it down. The world begins to shift, colors becoming more vivid, sounds becoming musical. The datura in the mixture is taking effect. You hear Yaudel arguing with the priest. He needs to return to the ceremony. If the emperor sees his absence, the priest cuts him off. The emperor will see a dead warrior if I send him back now. Let him dream. Let the medicine work. I'll tell the ceremony masters he collapsed during communion. I'll tell the ceremony masters he collapsed during communion. No dishonor in that. The datura vision takes you away from your body. You're floating above the temple, then above the entire city. You see Tenochtitlan as the gods see it. A perfect geometric flower blooming on the lake, causeways extending like petals to the shore, canals creating a grid of water and stone. The Great Pyramid is the flower's center, and from this height, you can see all 4 sacrifice lines simultaneously. The blood flowing down the stairs isn't horrifying anymore. From this height, it's beautiful, like red ribbons decorating a wedding dress. You drift higher. The lake below shrinks. You see other cities around the lake, Texcoco, Tlacopan, Xochimilco, all connected by causeways, all sending representatives to watch your emperor's demonstration of power. Further out, you see mountains, volcanoes smoking in the distance. Popocatépetl, the smoking mountain. Iztaccíhuatl, the sleeping woman. Their peaks are white with snow even in this warm season. Your people have legends about those mountains. Star-crossed lovers transformed into stone. You always thought the story was sad. From this height, you see they're still together, Maybe transformation isn't death, maybe it's continuation. The vision shifts without warning. Now you're standing at the pyramid's summit, but it's different. The temples of Tlaloc and Huitzilopochtli are both burning, not with cooking fires, but with green flame that produces no heat. The sacrifices are still happening, but you're not seeing the present. You're seeing all the sacrifices simultaneously, from the pyramid's first foundation stone, laid generations ago, to sacrifices that haven't happened yet, but will. Time is collapsed. Past, present, future, all overlaid on each other like transparent sheets of amate paper. A voice speaks, but it's not coming from any direction. It's coming from inside the pyramid itself, rumbling through the stones beneath your feet. The serpent dreams, the voice says. The serpent sleeps beneath stone and blood. The serpent will wake when the bearded ones arrive. You don't understand. What serpent? What bearded ones? The voice doesn't explain. Visions never do. You see yourself suddenly, not as you are, but as you will be. Older, scarred, standing on these same pyramid steps while wearing Spanish metal armor, a metal cross hanging around your neck. This makes no sense. Spaniards are a myth, people from across the Eastern Ocean that probably don't exist. And why would you wear their symbols? The vision you turns and looks directly at present you. The serpent dreams, vision you repeats. And when it wakes, everything changes. You wake, or maybe you've been awake the whole time and only now regain control of your body. The medical temple is darker. Night has fallen while you journeyed through visions. The drums are still audible but muffled by stone walls. A different priest sits beside your mat, younger than the first, monitoring your breathing. When he sees your eyes focus, he nods. The crisis passed. Your spirit chose to stay. You realize this means many spirits don't choose to stay. The spotted fever has a mortality rate near 60%. You should be dead. Your body feels hollowed out, like a gourd scraped clean of seeds. Every muscle aches. Your throat is raw from vomiting. But the fever is broken. You can tell by the normal temperature of your skin, the clarity of your thoughts. You try to sit up and fail. The priest pushes you back down gently. Tomorrow, you can stand. Tonight, you rest. The ceremony continues without you. How long? Your voice is barely a whisper. 8 hours. The sun will rise again in 2 hours. They're on the second day of sacrifices now. Mathematics returns to your fever-cleared mind, approximately 4,000 dead. 16,000 remaining. 3 more days of this. The number should shock you, but after what you saw in the vision, all the sacrifices, from all the years happening simultaneously, 4,000 feels almost small. And Yachtl appears in the doorway, relief flooding his scarred face. "Brother, you live!" He enters and squats beside your mat, producing a small bundle of cloth. "Stole you some talaxcali from the offering tables. Priest said you can eat now if you keep it slow." He unwraps 2 small corn flatbreads, still warm. The smell makes your stomach cramp with hunger. You've eaten nothing but amaranth paste for 3 days. Drunk nothing but water and medicinal draughts. You take the bread with trembling hands and tear a tiny piece. It tastes like the finest feast you've ever eaten, even though you know it's plain corn, nothing added. The simplest food your people make. You chew slowly, feeling your stomach accept the food, demand more. You eat the first flatbread over the course of 10 minutes. Then the second, even more slowly. Yachtl watches with approval. Good, you remember your training. Men who eat fast after fasting die from it. He's right. You've seen it on campaigns. Starving soldiers who gorge themselves when food finally comes, only to die hours later from the shock to their systems. Dawn arrives, and with it, a messenger from the Emperor. You're being summoned. Yachtl helps you dress in clean armor. Somehow he procured new cotton padding, dry and fresh-smelling. Your own armor was ruined by sweat and sickness. This new armor fits poorly, too large across the shoulders, but you're grateful for it. The priest rewraps your jade ear plugs into your stretched lobes, the familiar weight reassuring. He repaints your jaguar spots, though his hand is less steady than your usual painter. The spots are uneven, almost abstract. You look less like a jaguar and more like a fever dream of one. Walking to the sacred precinct takes 30 minutes, though it should take 10. Your legs are weak, your balance uncertain. Yautl supports you without comment, his hand under your elbow. The city is different on the second day of ceremony. Yesterday's anticipation has transformed into grim endurance. People still fill the streets, but they move quietly, mechanically. The excitement has been replaced by something else. A collective holding of breath. The plaza is reorganized. Yesterday's concentric circles have been abandoned. Now people stand in loose groups, free to come and go. Many are eating breakfast atoll, or tamales purchased from vendors, who've set up stalls at the plaza's edges. Life and death, commerce and religion, all mixing together. You see a child pointing at the pyramid excitedly while eating a corn cake. His mother looks exhausted. She probably stood the entire day. Today she sits on a stone bench, letting her son watch while she rests. You're brought not to the warriors section, but to an area near the emperor's canopy. This is either a great honor or you're about to be punished for abandoning yesterday's ceremony. Both are possible. Emperor Ahuitzotl sits on a jaguar pelt throne, receiving reports from priests about the sacrifice's progress. When you approach, supported by Yautl, the emperor's expression is unreadable. The sick warrior returns, Ahuitzotl says, his voice carrying despite speaking at normal volume. A trick of power, making people strain to hear so his words seem more important. My priests tell me you nearly died. They also tell me your spirit witnessed visions. Speak them. This is dangerous territory. Visions can be prophecy or madness. Interpreting them wrongly can mean death. You struggle to organize the fever dream memories into coherent speech, the floating city, the green fire. The temporal collapse, the voice from the pyramid, the future you in Spanish armor. You speak it all, your hoarse whisper forcing everyone to lean close to hear. The emperor listens without interrupting. When you finish describing the vision, especially the part about the bearded ones in the Spanish armor, he's silent for a long moment. The priests around him exchange glances. Finally, Ahuitzotl speaks. 20 years ago, under Emperor Moctezuma I, a comet appeared in daylight. The priests interpreted it as prophecy. Strangers would come from the east across the waters. They would bring both gifts and destruction. Your vision echoes the old prophecy. He stands, approaching you directly. This is unprecedented. Emperors don't approach warriors. Warriors approach emperors. He examines your fever-wasted face, your trembling hands, your ill-fitting armor. Then he does something even more shocking. He touches your shoulder, his hand heavy with gold rings. The gods marked you. They showed you what they showed no one else in this plaza, the future folding into the present. You will live to see the bearded ones arrive. And when they do, you will remember this moment. The emperor returns to his throne and gestures to a priest. Give him a vision keeper's token. His words today will be recorded in the sacred books. A priest approaches and hangs a small jade pendant around your neck, a glyph representing seer. It's not a great honor like achieving higher military rank, but it's something. More importantly, it means your vision has been officially accepted as prophecy rather than dismissed as fever madness. You're dismissed. Yautl guides you away from the emperor's presence. And once you're out of earshot, he laughs, a sound of relief and disbelief. By all the gods, I thought he'd have you sacrificed for speaking of strangers, destroying the empire. Instead, he honors you. Your luck is either legendary or cursed. I can't tell which, you can't tell either. The jade pendant feels heavy against your chest. Prophecy is responsibility. If the bearded ones never arrive, you'll be remembered as a false seer. If they do arrive and bring destruction, as your vision suggested, you'll be remembered as the man who warned of the apocalypse. Neither legacy appeals to you. You just wanted to survive the ceremony. Instead, you've become part of its meaning. The pyramid looms ahead, the sacrifice continuing relentlessly. You've been gone from the plaza for less than a day, but approximately 4,000 people have died in your absence. The too large since your mind can hold the image of one sacrifice, maybe 10, maybe even 100. But thousands? Thousands become an abstraction, a concept rather than a reality. Each death is individual, a person with memories, fears, hopes, but your mind can't process them individually. You wonder if that's why the gods demand so many. Individual death is tragedy. Mass death is mathematics. And the gods, like the empire, speak in numbers. You spend the second day as an observer rather than a participant. Yautl finds you a spot at the plaza's edge where you can sit against a temple wall, partly shaded by its overhang. From this position, you watch the ceremony continue with the detachment of illness and prophecy. The jade pendant draws attention. Other warriors approach, asking what you did to earn it. You don't want to explain, but Yautl tells the story for you, embellishing certain parts, making your fever dreams sound more prophetic and less terrifying. The sacrifice rhythm never changes. Every 2 minutes, a body tumbles down the pyramid stairs, no longer bleeding. The hearts have already been removed, just empty husks that roll and bounce until they reach the bottom, where teams of lower priests drag them to the edge of the plaza. You watch the logistics of industrial death with growing fascination. 20,000 bodies must go somewhere. The priests have organized it efficiently. Bodies are sorted by origin, Mixtecs with Mixtecs, Zapotecs with Zapotecs. Each group will be returned to their home regions as a warning and a demonstration. The heads go to the skull rack. The hearts go to temple braziers, burned as offerings. The rest, the meat, the skin, the bones, is distributed according to complex religious and economic rules you don't fully understand. A vendor sells polk nearby, the fermented maguey drink. That's the common intoxicant of your people. Despite your recovery, you're still too weak to drink alcohol, so you purchase only water and plain tortillas. The vendor is an old woman, maybe 60, an impressive age that fewer than 1 in 10 people reach. She watches you eat and smiles with few teeth. "You're the vision boy," she says. "The one who saw the bearded strangers. News travels fast," you reply. "The one who saw the bearded strangers. News travels fast," you reply. Nothing moves faster than prophecy, especially bad prophecy. She leans closer, her breath smelling of polk and age. 23 years ago, I was here when they dedicated this pyramid's previous version. 3,000 died that day, and we thought it was the greatest ceremony ever witnessed. Now look, 20,000 over 4 days, maybe more. Each generation, the gods grow hungrier, or maybe each generation, the emperors grow more ambitious. Hard to tell the difference. Her words settle over you like a cold blanket. She's right. Your empire has been expanding for a century, growing larger, more powerful, demanding more tribute, more warriors, more sacrifices. The mathematics of empire require exponential growth, but exponential growth always ends. The question isn't whether the expansion stops, it's what happens when it does. Your vision suggested an answer: bearded strangers arriving from the east. Change forced from outside rather than collapse from within. Evening of the second day brings a change in ceremony. The emperor announces through his heralds that tonight's sacrifices will honor specific gods with specific rituals. For Zeep Totek, the flayed lord, prisoners will be dressed in the skin of previously sacrificed victims before being killed. For Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, prisoners will dance while wearing elaborate feather costumes before their hearts are taken. For Mictlantecutli, Lord of the Dead, prisoners will be buried alive in the pyramid's foundation. You listen to the proclamations with growing unease. These aren't the standard throat-cutting, heart-removal sacrifices. These are elaborate, theatrical deaths designed to demonstrate the variety of divine hunger. Ayotl suggests you leave, return to your clan house, rest properly. But you can't. The Emperor marked you as a seer. Leaving now would suggest your vision was false or your commitment weak. So you stay, watching as the twilight rituals begin. Enormous braziers are lit around the pyramid's base, making the structure glow like a mountain of fire. The temperature in the plaza rises noticeably despite the cooling evening air. Sweat that had finally dried on your skin returns. The first prisoner for Zaipe Totek is brought forward. Priests have already flayed a previous victim, removed the skin in a single piece, an art that requires enormous skill. They've created a full-body suit of human skin, complete with face, hands, feet. The prisoner is forced into this suit while alive, his own living skin now wrapped in another person's dead skin. The visual is nightmare, a man wearing another man. He's paraded around the pyramid's base once so everyone can see this theological statement about death and renewal. Xip Totek governs the spring when dead corn gives life to new corn. The flayed skin represents the husk. The living man inside represents the seed. Theology made flesh, you vomit. Not from fever this time, but from simple human revulsion. Your 3 days of fasting left your stomach weak, and the image of the flayed skin prisoner is too much. Several people near you also vomit. The priests expect this. Young boys with baskets and water move through the crowd, cleaning up, offering water to rinse mouths. This is normal. This is planned for. Industrial-scale ceremony requires industrial-scale support services. The flayed prisoner reaches the pyramid's summit. Even from this distance, you can see him struggling inside the skin suit, trying to remove it, driven mad by the sensation. The priests hold him down. The obsidian blade flashes in brazier light. He stops moving. They remove the skin suit and drape it over the pyramid's balustrade, where it hangs like laundry drying in the sun. Tomorrow, a priest will wear that suit for 20 days, dancing through the city, the skin gradually rotting on his living body. This is how your people worship the god of renewal. The night deepens, and the rituals for Tezcatlipoca begin. This god is more complex than others. He's the patron of rulers, the one who gives and takes power arbitrarily. The Spanish will later call him the devil, but that's wrong. Tezcatlipoca isn't evil. He's chaos and destiny combined. The god who represents that life is fundamentally unpredictable. The prisoners chosen for him are dressed in beautiful feather costumes, quetzal feathers, macaw feathers, hummingbird feathers, worth more than most families earn in a year. The irony isn't lost on you. These men will die wearing wealth they never possessed in life. They dance. Not as victims, but as willing participants, because that's the theology of Tezcatlipoca. He requires joy before death, celebration before. The prisoners are drugged, probably with psilocybin mushrooms or peyote. Their minds no longer their own. They smile as they dance. They laugh. They embrace the priests who will kill them. One prisoner, a young Zapotec with filed teeth, dances so beautifully that the crowd applauds. He bows theatrically, blows kisses to the audience, then walks up the pyramid steps as if ascending to a feast rather than a sacrifice. Okay. You understand this theology better than most. Your fever vision gave you similar feelings. The boundary between horror and transcendence is thinner than people think. When you floated above the city, you felt no fear. When you saw yourself in Spanish armor, you felt only curiosity. The drugs the prisoners receive probably create similar dissolution of normal emotional responses. They're dying, but they don't care. Or maybe they care and simply can't access the caring. Either way, it's merciful in its own terrible way. Yatel speaks quietly beside you. My cousin was sacrificed to Tezcatlipoca 3 years ago, captured in the Huastec campaigns. My aunt told me she was grateful he got the mushrooms instead of being burned or flayed. She said at least he died happy. His voice carries no emotion. This is simply fact. In your empire, sacrifice isn't murder. It's theological necessity. Every family has sacrificed someone. Every family has also sent someone to the pyramid to kill. The system works because everyone participates. The moment someone refuses participation, the entire structure threatens to collapse. A thought strikes you. What if the bearded strangers from your vision refuse participation? What if they have a theology that doesn't include sacrifice? Your empire's power rests on consensus. Everyone agrees that the gods require blood, therefore the empire's violence is justified. But if strangers arrive who don't accept this premise, who see sacrifice as simply murder, then maybe that's what your vision meant. Maybe the bearded strangers won't destroy your empire with weapons. Maybe they'll destroy it with a different story about how gods relate to people. Midnight arrives. You know this because the priests ring the temple bells, each one marking an hour on the sacred calendar. The ceremonies for Mictlantecutli begin. These are the most disturbing, not because of violence, but because of slowness. The prisoners chosen for burial will die over hours, suffocating slowly in the earth beneath the pyramid's foundation. There's no blood, no spectacle, just mathematical certainty. They'll be placed in specially prepared chambers, sealed with stone, and left to breathe until the air runs out. The priests explain this is necessary. Mictlantecutli governs the underworld, the slow journey into death, and he requires sacrifices that mirror this gradual transition. Dick, you watch as 30 prisoners are led around the pyramid's base to its northern face, where the foundation chambers wait. The prisoners aren't drugged like the Tezcatlipoca sacrifices. They're fully aware. Some pray loudly, others curse. One woman, you're surprised to see a woman among the prisoners, sings. You can't understand her language, but the melody is defiant, accusatory. She's singing about injustice, you think, about the wrongness of this empire and this theology. Her voice carries across the plaza, and many people look uncomfortable. Her crime, you learn from a nearby priest, was refusing to hand over her village's tribute. She led a small rebellion that killed 2 tribute collectors. For this, she gets buried alive. The priests lower the prisoners into the chambers one by one. The chambers are narrow, barely wide enough to sit, too short to stand. Each prisoner must crouch or curl in fetal position. The woman goes last. Before they seal her chamber, she stops singing and speaks directly to the priests in heavily accented Nahuatl. Your gods are demons. Your empire is built on horror. The universe will correct this. Then she spits at the high priest. He doesn't react, simply nods to his assistants who seal the stone lid over her chamber. You hear scratching. The prisoners are clawing at stone from inside their chambers. The sound is worse than screams. It's desperate, animal, the sound of people understanding that no force in the universe will save them. Yatel stands abruptly. I'm leaving. I've seen enough. He looks at you expectantly. You should leave too, but you can't. The woman's words echo in your mind. The universe will correct this. It sounds like prophecy. It sounds like your vision. You stand, your legs nearly giving out. but you manage. I'll walk partway with you, because you do need to leave, at least temporarily. You need distance from the scratching sounds, from the implications of the woman's prophecy, from the reality that 30 people are suffocating beneath the pyramid while thousands watch. You make it to the plaza's edge before your legs finally give out. Yatul catches you, lowering you to sit on the base of a stone stairway leading to a minor temple. The scratching sounds are inaudible here, replaced by the normal city noises of Tenochtitlan at night: dogs barking, babies crying, someone playing a clay flute badly. Normal life continues, while extraordinary death happens 30 paces away. This contrast has never struck you before, but now it seems like the defining feature of your civilization. A priest approaches, not one of the high priests conducting ceremonies, but a lower-ranking one whose job is tending to ceremony witnesses. He carries a basket of supplies: water, food, blankets, simple medicine. You look near death yourself, warrior. Come to the rest house. He indicates a building adjacent to the plaza where people too sick or exhausted to continue watching can recover. You didn't know this place existed. Apparently, the priests plan for ceremony casualties among the witnesses as carefully as they plan for the sacrifices themselves. Inside the rest house, you find approximately 50 people in various states of collapse. Some sleep on mats, others vomit into clothes. A few stare at walls with the blank expression of people who've seen something that broke their understanding. A young woman rocks back and forth, muttering about the scratching sounds. An old man weeps silently. These are the psychologically wounded, the ones whose minds couldn't contain the ceremony's implications. Yatul helps you to an empty mat. The priest brings water, real food, a bowl of bean stew with bits of turkey meat. Your first substantial food in 3. You eat slowly, feeling the food revive your body even as your mind struggles with the night's events. The woman's words replay endlessly. Your gods are demons. Your empire is built on horror. The universe will correct this. What if she's right? Not metaphorically, not as angry rebellion talk, but factually right. Your fever vision showed strangers coming who would change everything. The woman from a conquered village spoke of cosmic correction. Maybe these aren't separate prophecies. Maybe they're the same truth arriving from different directions. Your empire has killed tens of thousands to rededicate one pyramid. How many has it killed total over the past century of expansion? Millions? The mathematics are staggering, and mathematics eventually balance. Every action creates an equal reaction. Every empire that rises must fall. The universe corrects. You speak these thoughts aloud without meaning to, your voice hoarse and quiet. Yatul, sitting beside your mat, responds, "Then we're doomed, because the empire can't stop. It requires constant expansion, constant tribute, constant sacrifice. The moment it stops growing, it starts dying. We all know this. The emperor knows it. The priests know it. Even the commoners know it. So we keep expanding, keep conquering, keep feeding the gods, because stopping means collapse. Your vision just tells us the collapse is coming anyway. You sleep fitfully, dreaming of scratching sounds and Spanish armor. When you wake, pale morning light filters through the rest house entrance. The third day of ceremony has begun. Around you, people are stirring, some returning to the plaza, others too broken to continue. You sit up slowly, testing your body's capacity. You're weak but functional. The food and sleep helped more than you expected. Your fever hasn't returned. You might actually survive this. Yatul is gone, probably returned to the ceremony or to his own clan house. A priest brings you fresh water and more food, corn cakes with honey. You eat automatically, your mind elsewhere. The jade seer's pendant weighs on your chest, a constant reminder of your new role. The emperor declared you a prophet, The buried woman declared the empire doomed. Your fever vision showed transformation coming from the east. All of these threads connect somehow, but the pattern remains unclear. You walk outside. The plaza is less crowded on the third day. Many people have reached their limit of witnessing. Those who remain are either the religiously devoted or the socially obligated. You spot Itzcoatl standing in the warrior section, still proving his strength through endurance. He sees you and nods acknowledgement, but doesn't approach. The distance between you has grown. He's still a simple warrior. You're something else now, marked by the gods, marked by prophecy, marked by surviving what should have killed you. The sacrifice continues its mathematical progression. By your calculation, approximately 6,000 are dead. 14,000 remain. The pyramid stairs are no longer white. They're permanently stained red-brown, and no amount of washing will restore them. This physical mark will remain for decades, maybe centuries. Anyone seeing this pyramid for the rest of its existence will see the blood stain and remember this ceremony. This week will define the Great Pyramid's identity forever. You watch a group of children being prepared for Prologue, dressed in blue painted paper costumes to represent rain. Their faces are painted with tears. The priests are showing them mirrors, making frightening faces, doing everything possible to make them cry. Real tears for the rain god. Most of the children do cry. They're terrified. But one small boy, maybe 6 years old, doesn't cry. He stares at the priests with defiance. The priests work harder, louder noises, scarier faces. But the boy won't cry. Finally, a priest strikes him across the face, hard. The boy's nose bleeds, but still no tears. Just blood running down his face mixed with the painted tears. The priests give up and take him to the pyramid anyway. You watch his small figure climb the stairs, walking with dignity no 6-year-old should have to possess. At the summit, they'll cut his throat while he's still dry-eyed, hoping his blood will serve as substitute for tears. You realize you're crying instead, tears running down your gaunt cheeks. Maybe your tears count. Maybe the third day becomes a blur of endurance. You've moved beyond horror into something else. Acceptance isn't the right word because you don't accept this. Witness might be better. You're here to see, to remember, to carry this knowledge forward. The Jade Seer's pendant feels heavier with each passing hour, as if the weight of prophecy increases with each death you witness. By afternoon, you've stopped counting. The numbers are too large, too abstract. Each sacrifice is both everything and nothing. Yodel returns, bringing your Macuawitl sword, the obsidian-bladed weapon you surrendered before the ceremony began. They're returning weapons, he explains. The ceremony ends tomorrow. The Emperor wants full military display for the final day, every warrior in formal armor and paint. You take the sword, feeling its familiar weight. The wooden shaft is inlaid with intricate patterns. The obsidian blades along both edges are sharp enough to decapitate in a single stroke. Spanish chronicles will later claim these swords can cut a horse's head off. They're exaggerating, but not by much. And you should report to the clan house, get proper armor, have your body professionally painted by the clan's artist. But you don't move. Something keeps you here, watching. Maybe it's the woman's prophecy about cosmic correction. Maybe it's your own vision about the bearded strangers. Or maybe it's simpler. You've witnessed so much death that leaving before completion feels like abandoning your post. Warriors don't abandon posts. A commotion near the pyramid draws your attention. One of the priests conducting sacrifices has collapsed, falling down the pyramid stairs, tumbling like the bodies he's been handling for 3 days. Other priests rush to him. He's alive but clearly broken, mentally rather than physically. You learn from nearby conversations that he's the youngest high priest only 19. Promoted rapidly due to exceptional religious knowledge. But knowledge isn't the same as psychological capacity. He's performed approximately 200 sacrifices over 3 days, cutting 200 throats, removing 200 hearts. The accumulation broke him. They carry him past where you stand. His eyes meet yours briefly. There's recognition in that glance. Two people marked by this ceremony in ways others aren't. He's broken by doing. You're broken by seeing. Neither of you will ever be the same. The Empire creates its casualties in multiple ways. You touch your Jade Seer's pendant, feeling its smooth surface. Then you touch your Makuwitl sword, feeling its deadly purpose. Two objects representing two paths, prophecy and violence, seeing and doing. Your empire requires both. Every warrior must be both. You wonder if the bearded strangers from your vision will be the same, or if they'll have found a way to separate these roles. Maybe that's their power, violence without theology, or theology without violence. Either would be incomprehensible to your people. Evening of the third day brings you to a decision point. Yautl returns with your clan's master painter, who carries pots of black pigment and brushes. No more delay, Yautl insists. Tomorrow is the final day, the greatest military display of our generation. Every Jaguar warrior must be present in full regalia. The Emperor himself will inspect. You can't appear like this. He gestures at your skeletal, unpainted body with a mix of concern and frustration. The painter is an old man, maybe 50, who's been painting warriors for 30 years. He examines you critically. I can paint the spots, but they won't hide how much weight he's lost. He looks like a prisoner, not a warrior. Despite the harsh words, his hands are gentle as he begins the work, dipping his brush in the black pigment, carefully applying jaguar spots to your chest, your arms, your face. Familiar rituals soothing. For the first time in 3 days, you feel connected to your warrior identity, rather than to the seer prophet role the Emperor assigned you. And as the painter works, Itzcoatl appears. You haven't spoken to him since the ceremony began. He squats beside where you sit, watching the painting process. You've become famous, he says finally. The warrior who received visions, who the Emperor honored, who survived the spotted fever when so many die. People are saying you're blessed by Tezcatlipoca, that you're destined for great things. He pauses, then adds more quietly, "But you don't look blessed, you look haunted," he's right. "I saw things," you respond, your voice still hoarse. "In the fever, in the ceremony, things that make me question everything we do, everything we believe." You wouldn't normally speak like this to another warrior. Such doubt is dangerous. But Itzcoatl has been your brother in blood for years. If anyone can hear your heresy, it's him. He's silent for a long moment. The painter continues working, pretending not to listen, but obviously absorbing every word. Finally, Itzcoatl speaks. "I've thought those thoughts too. Every warrior has, I think. When you've captured enough enemies, delivered enough people to the pyramid, watched enough die, you start wondering if the gods really demand this or if we just tell ourselves they do. But then I remember, this is the world we were born into. These are the rules we inherited. We didn't create this system, we just survive in it. Maybe the bearded strangers from your vision will bring different rules. But until they arrive, if they arrive, we're warriors of the Aztec Empire. And tomorrow, we'll look like warriors of the Aztec Empire. Because that's who we are. Night falls on the third day, and you're sent to the clan house to sleep, real sleep in your own mat, not fever dreams in a medical temple. The walk through Tenochtitlan's streets is surreal. Normal life continues everywhere, families eating dinner in courtyard, children playing a ball game in a plaza, lovers meeting by a canal, merchants closing their shops. The sacrifice of 16,000 people by your continued count hasn't stopped daily existence. The city absorbs the death, and this is perhaps the most disturbing realization of all, that mass death can be compartmentalized, relegated to one district of the city, while everywhere else life proceeds as if nothing unusual is happening. At the clan house, your warrior brothers greet you with mixture of reverence and discomfort. You're different now, marked by gods, recognized by the emperor, survived death. You're no longer just another jaguar warrior. The hierarchy has shifted in subtle ways you can feel but can't name. When you take your mat, the warriors near you unconsciously make space, creating a small zone of isolation around you. Prophecy is lonely. You try to sleep but can't. Your body is exhausted, your mind too active. The woman's words keep repeating, "The universe will correct this." Your own vision plays on loop, the feathered serpent sleeping beneath the pyramid, the bearded strangers arriving from the east, your future self in Spanish armor. These images don't feel like metaphor anymore. They feel like memory of things that haven't happened yet, a chronicle written by time itself. Around midnight, you give up on sleep and walk outside. Tenochtitlan is quiet, the canals reflecting starlight and the distant glow of the pyramid's braziers. You walk toward the sacred precinct, not planning to, but your feet carry you there anyway. The plaza is nearly empty at this hour, just priests maintaining the fires and a few obsessive witnesses who haven't left in 3 days. At reduced pace. The prisoners need rest too, or they'd all die from exhaustion before reaching the summit. Methods of death require. You stand at the pyramid's northern face, near the foundation chambers where the woman and 29 others were buried alive. The scratching has stopped. They're dead now, all of them suffocated in darkness over the course of 18 hours. You place your hand against the stone, feeling for, you don't know what, connection, forgiveness, understanding. The stone is cold, silent, offering nothing. "They're with Mictlantecuhtli now," a voice says behind you. You turn to find a high priest, one of the elderly ones who supervises, but doesn't perform sacrifices. His face is painted half white, half black, representing the duality of life and death, beginning their journey through the 9 levels of the underworld. 4 years walking through darkness and challenges, then dissolution, peaceful final She said the universe would correct this. You respond, not sure why you're sharing this with a priest. The rebel woman, before you sealed her chamber, she said our gods are demons, and our empire is built on horror. The priest considers your words carefully. When he finally speaks, his voice is sad rather than angry. She wasn't wrong. Our gods are terrible, not evil, but terrible in the original sense of the word. They inspire terror, they demand horror. And yes, our empire is built on this horror, but so is every empire. The Mixtecs we conquered practiced sacrifice. The Zapotecs too, the Mayans before them, the Toltecs before them. Every civilization we know has fed the gods with human blood. We didn't invent this practice. We simply perfected it. But what if the gods don't actually demand it? You ask, voicing the heresy that's been growing in your mind since the fever vision. What if the blood and the corn and the rain would come anyway? What if we've created a system that perpetuates itself, not because the gods require it, but because we believe they do? The priest is silent for so long you think he won't answer. Then, 20 years ago, I asked my own teacher that same question. He told me something I've never forgotten. He said, whether the gods demand sacrifice, or we imagine they do, makes no difference. The empire requires the belief. The belief requires the blood. The blood requires the empire. You can't remove one piece without the entire structure collapsing. I didn't understand then. I do now. He gestures at the plaza, the pyramid, the city beyond. Remove sacrifice, and what justifies our conquests? What maintains the terror that keeps tribute flowing? What provides the social mobility that lets commoners become nobles through military achievement? What gives meaning to the deaths of our warriors? The entire system interlocks. Question one piece, and eventually you question everything. My vision showed everything changing, you say quietly. Strangers from the east, different gods, different rules, the sleeping serpent beneath this pyramid waking up. The priest touches your shoulder, an unusual intimacy from a high priest to a warrior. Then your vision showed truth, because everything does change eventually. Empires rise and fall. Gods are born and die. The Olmecs before us thought their civilization would last forever. Now they're ruins in the jungle. We think our civilization will last forever. We're probably wrong. He looks up at the pyramid. But tonight we're still here. Tomorrow is the fourth day, the final day. 10,000 more will die, and then this ceremony ends. And after that, we continue. Because that's what people do. We continue until we can't. He walks away, leaving you alone with the pyramid and your thoughts. The braziers on the summit create a crown of fire against the star-filled sky. From here, the pyramid looks eternal, unmovable, a mountain that will stand 10,000 years. But you've seen it in your vision wrapped in green flame, the stone itself burning. You've seen Spanish crosses planted on its summit. You've seen the future where this pyramid is ruins that conquistadors will climb to plant their flag. The priest is right. Everything changes. The only question is whether the change is evolution or apocalypse. Dawn of the fourth day arrives with trumpet fanfare that echoes across the entire city. You're back at the clan house when it begins, surrounded by your fellow Jaguar warriors, preparing for the final ceremony. Everyone is being painted, armored, armed. The air smells of copal incense, Jaguar musk from the pelts, and nervous male sweat. Today isn't just about witnessing sacrifice. It's about demonstrating military power. Every warrior in Tenochtitlan will form up in the plaza, arranged by rank and achievement, creating a living display of the empire's violent capacity. Your own preparation is meticulous. The clan's master painter redoes your spots, making them perfect, symmetrical, bold. He adds decorative elements, white dots representing stars, red lines representing blood paths. Your top knot is rebuilt with fresh binding and extra jade beads borrowed from the clan treasury. Your earplugs are polished until they shine. The Jade Seer's pendant is cleaned and blessed by a clan priest. Your cotton armor is the finest available, triple layered, capable of stopping most arrows. Your Macawiddle sword is inspected, every obsidian blade checked for chips, the whole weapon ritually blessed. Itzcoatl approaches, wearing his eagle headdress, the massive feathered construction, making him appear 7 feet tall. Ready for the final display, his tone is forced cheerfulness. None of you are ready. 3 days of witnessing sacrifice has exhausted everyone psychologically. But warriors don't show weakness, so you all pretend this is just another ceremony, just another day of duty. Okay? The march to the sacred precinct is processional. 5,000 warriors moving in perfect formation, arranged by military society, jaguars, eagles, coyotes, ocelots. The sound of 10,000 bare feet slapping stone creates a rhythm like distant thunder. Citizens line the causeways, watching silently. No cheering, no celebration, just witness. The mood isn't triumphant, it's grim. Everyone understands that today marks something unprecedented. The largest sacrifice in Mesoamerican history, a demonstration of power so extreme it borders on madness. You march beside Yautl, his empty eye socket covered today with a carved obsidian half-minus, mask that makes him look like the god of war himself. He leans close, speaking quietly under the marching rhythm. After today, I'm requesting assignment to the frontier garrison in Oaxaca. I need distance from this city, from this pyramid, from these memories. You should consider joining me. Fresh start, new campaigns. Forget all this. It's tempting. The frontier means constant small-scale warfare, raids, counter-raids, border disputes, but nothing like this industrial-scale death. It means distance from the Emperor's eyes, from the prophecy you've been marked with, from the jade pendant that weighs heavier each day. But something tells you running won't help. The vision showed your future self in Spanish armor. Whatever's coming, you're meant to witness it. Running from the pyramid just delays the reckoning. The warriors fill the sacred plaza in geometric precision, concentric squares within squares, each military society forming its own block, creating a living mandala of violence. You stand in the Jaguar section front rank because your seer's pendant grants you elevated position. From here, you can see everything: the pyramid's blood-dark stairs, the emperor on his throne, the prisoners assembled in 4 massive groups at the plaza's corners, and most striking, the tens of thousands of citizens packed into every available space. The entire city has come to witness this final day. Emperor Ahuitzotl rises, and the crowd falls silent. 100,000 people suddenly voiceless. His announcement carries through the plaza via relay speakers, priests stationed at intervals who repeat his words so everyone can hear. 4 days, 20,000 sacrifices. The gods are fed, the empire is validated. The Great Pyramid is consecrated with blood sufficient for 100 years. Let every nation within our borders and beyond our borders understand, Tenochtitlan is eternal. Our gods are mighty. Our warriors are undefeated. The crowd roars approval, the sound physically painful in its intensity. You remain silent. Beside you, Yautl and Itzcoatl roar with everyone else, caught up in the moment. But you can't. The woman's prophecy echoes too loudly. The universe will correct this. The Emperor just declared the empire eternal. The universe doesn't allow eternal empires. Something has to give. The final sacrifice begins with a change in protocol. Instead of the continuous industrial processing of previous days, today's sacrifices are theatrical, ceremonial. Each prisoner is brought forward individually, their name and crime announced, their home village identified. This personalizes the death, transforms statistics back into stories. You watch as a Mixtec chief is brought forward, dressed in his full noble regalia that he was allowed to keep. A final dignity before death. The announcement describes his rebellion, his capture, his journey to Tenochtitlan. Then he climbs the pyramid slowly, with ceremony, while drums beat a funeral rhythm. This slower pace means the crowd can focus on individual deaths rather than mathematical aggregates. It's psychologically worse, somehow. When thousands die quickly, the mind can't process them individually. But watching one man climb, one man die, then another, each death fully witnessed, it accumulates differently. By the 100th death, people around you are weeping. By the 500th, several warriors have left the formation to vomit. By the 1000th, the psychological weight is unbearable. You remain standing, watching everything, the seer's pendant heavy against your chest. This is your role now, to witness, to remember, to carry this knowledge forward. The empire demands this ceremony. The gods, perhaps, demand this ceremony. But future generations will demand explanation. When the bearded strangers arrive and question this practice, someone will need to explain the theological reasoning, the political necessity. That burden falls to you. You're not just witnessing sacrifice. You're becoming Its chronicler. During the rest period, you don't eat, you don't speak. You sit against a temple wall where you sat before your designated space now, seems, and stare at nothing. Yautl brings food that you don't acknowledge. Its quotal tries conversation that you don't hear. Other warriors give you space, recognizing that whatever's happened to you is beyond their ability to address. The seer has seen too much. The prophet has received prophecy too terrible to share. A young warrior approaches, maybe 16, newly initiated into the Jaguar society. He's nervous, honored to address someone marked by the Emperor and gods. Lord Seer, he begins, using a title you don't want. I was told to ask. The Emperor wishes to know if you received additional visions during today's ceremony. The priests interpret the children's sacrifice as particularly sacred. If the gods spoke, you look at him, really look at him, and he steps back. Whatever he sees in your eyes frightens him more than the pyramid's carnage. You speak, your voice mechanical. Tell the Emperor the gods spoke clearly. They said everything ends. Empires, religions, certainties. The children climbing the pyramid today represent the Empire's future climbing toward death. That's the vision. That's the prophecy. Everything ends. The young warrior pales. I'll report your words, Lord Seer. He flees. You've just delivered heresy directly to the Emperor. Tomorrow, you might be the one climbing the pyramid. The thought produces no fear. You're too empty for fear. If the Empire decides you've blasphemed, at least climbing the pyramid means your death has meaning within their system. Better that than dying of spotted fever in a clan house, or worse, surviving to old age carrying these memories. But the Emperor doesn't summon you. Instead, a different messenger arrives. One of the high priests, the elderly man you spoke with at midnight. He sits beside you without asking permission. Your words reached His Majesty. Rather than anger, they produced contemplation. He asked me to inform you that your prophecy aligns with ancient knowledge. The Aztec calendar predicts that this fifth sun, our current world, will end in earthquakes and famine. All previous suns ended, all previous worlds died. The fourth sun drowned in flood, the third sun burned in fire. The second sun was devoured by wind. The first sun was destroyed by jaguars. He pauses significantly, looking at your jaguar-spotted body. Some priests interpret your markings as prophetic. The first world ended with jaguars. Perhaps the fifth world ends with jaguars too. You understand what he's really saying. Your heresy isn't heresy because it matches existing eschatology. The Empire's own mythology predicts its end. You're not threatening their worldview. You're confirming it. This should be comforting. It's not, because if the Empire knows it's doomed, knows its gods are terrible, knows the system is horror, and continues anyway, that's not tragedy. That's choice. That's deliberate embrace of the abyss. The final 1,000 sacrifices begin at sunset, and you're required to reform with the other warriors. You stand mechanically, put on armor that Yautl helps fasten, allow someone to repaint crude jaguar spots on your face. You don't care about appearance, but the military requires it, so you comply. Your body moves. Your mind exists somewhere else, somewhere above the pyramid, looking down, detached and distant. The final 1,000 are all high-value prisoners, captured nobles, rival priests, enemy military leaders. These are the sacrifices that matter politically, the deaths designed to break the spirits of conquered peoples. Each announcement includes the prisoners' lineage, their cities, their achievements before capture. Each death is meant to send a message beyond Tenochtitlan's borders. Resistance is futile. Your empire conquers not just bodies, but entire genealogies, entire histories. When a noble dies, his family line's claim to power dies with him. You watch with distant interest as a pattern emerges. The high-value prisoners don't scream or resist. They climb the pyramid with dignity, embracing death as the only honorable option available. Some speak final words, curses, prayers, declarations of love for their families. Others remain silent, but all maintain composure. It's the difference between them and the lower status prisoners of previous days. It's nobles have been trained since childhood to accept death with grace. It's part of their education. Death is everywhere in Mesoamerica, woven into art and poetry and philosophy. These nobles have spent years preparing for this moment. They perform it well. One prisoner, a Mixtec prince, stops at the pyramid's midpoint and turns to address the crowd. The guards allow it. Even enemies deserve final words. His voice carries, "I die today, but my death proves my life had meaning. I resisted the Aztec Empire. I gave my people 3 years of freedom before capture. My children will remember I fought. My grandchildren will remember I fought. When your empire falls, and it will fall, all empires do, the story of resistance will outlive the story of conquest. Memory is longer than empires. The crowd is silent. Then, shockingly, some people applaud. A brief, quickly suppressed moment of acknowledgement that the prince spoke truth. You see guards looking for who apply, but in a crowd of 100,000, identification is impossible. The prince continues climbing, satisfaction visible on his face. He's won something. Not life, but meaning. In a world where death is certain, meaning is the only victory available. You understand him completely. You're both prisoners in different ways. He's captured by your empire physically. You're captured by your empire philosophically. He'll die on the pyramid. You'll die inside it, your spirit already climbing those stairs, while your body continues the mechanical routine of warrior life. But like him, you can choose meaning. You can choose to remember, to witness, to carry the truth forward. When the bearded strangers arrive, you'll tell them everything. You'll be the traitor the empire fears, the insider who breaks the code of silence. The final prisoner climbs at midnight. The timing is perfect, calculated by priests to align with astronomical positions. Venus hangs low in the western sky, about to set. The moon is precisely half full, balanced between dark and light. The prisoner is a woman, which surprises everyone. Female prisoners are rare in sacrifice lines, not because of mercy, but because capturing warriors is what earns prestige. But this woman is different. The announcement explains she's a warrior herself, a Zapotec who fought in male disguise for 15 years before her capture, revealed her secret. She wears her military honors, jade earplugs, a carved bone pectoral, feathered bands around her arms. The empire allows her to die as what she was, a warrior. She climbs slowly, stopping at each 13th step like the emperor did 4 days ago, receiving blessings from priests. At the summit, she turns to face the crowd, no final speech, just a warrior's salute, right fist over heart. Then she lies down on the altar stone voluntarily, spreads her arms in acceptance. The obsidian blade flashes. The last heart is removed, the drums stop. For the first time in 4 days, the drums stop. The silence is more profound than any sound could be. 100,000 people stand in absolute stillness. The only noise, the crackling of brazier fires. Then the high priest at the pyramid summit raises the woman's heart above his head, blood running down his arms, and screams, "The rededication is complete. The gods are fed. The empire is validated. Tenochtitlan will stand eternal." The crowd erupts, not cheering, screaming. 4 days of accumulated tension releasing in pure vocal chaos. People collapse, weeping. Others dance. Some fight. Mass emotion without direction. Every person processing 4 days of death in their own way. The military formation dissolves as warriors break ranks, some embracing, others running from the plaza, others falling to their knees. You remain standing, the only still figure in a sea of movement, watching the pyramid where the woman's body is carried down the stairs by priests. Something in your mind clicks into place. The woman died as a warrior, despite being born female. The empire allowed her this honor because military achievement transcends gender. But children die as victims regardless of their innocence. The system has rules, but the rules are arbitrary, designed to maintain power rather than express truth. You understand finally why the empire is doomed. It's not external enemies. It's not angry gods. It's the internal contradiction. A civilization that claims to honor bravery but murders children, that respects military prowess but requires constant sacrifice, that builds beauty on horror. The contradictions will tear it apart from within. The bearded strangers from your vision won't destroy the empire. They'll simply arrive after it's already destroyed itself. You don't remember walking back to the clan house. Your mind returns to your body to find yourself lying on your sleeping mat. Morning light coming through the entrance. A full night has passed that you don't remember. Yaddle sits nearby, keeping watch, his scarred face showing relief when he sees you focus. You collapsed at the plaza's edge. We carried you here. You've been unconscious for 12 hours. Yaddle stares at you. That's not how warriors are supposed to think. I'm not a warrior anymore. I'm a seer, apparently. You touch the jade pendant, feeling its now familiar weight. And what seers see is patterns. The pattern here is clear. We're watching the beginning of the end. The 20,000 sacrifice ceremony wasn't a demonstration of strength. It was desperation disguised as power. When you have to kill 20,000 people to prove you're strong, it means you're afraid of appearing weak. The clan house is stirring around you, other warriors rising, preparing for normal military duties that continue despite the ceremony's conclusion. Life reasserts its routine, but you can't return to routine. You've been marked, changed, assigned a role you didn't want. The emperor expects prophecy. The priests expect mystical pronouncements. The people expect either salvation or damnation. Everyone wants you to explain what comes next. What comes next is obvious, though they won't want to hear it. Decline, fragmentation, collapse. Then the strangers from the east arrive, and whatever survives of the empire transforms into something else. Your vision showed you wearing Spanish armor. That means you survive, that means you collaborate, that means you betray. The knowledge sits heavy in your chest, heavier than the jade pendant, heavier than the Macahuitl sword lying beside your mat. 3 days pass before you're strong enough to walk to the palace. You spend them eating small amounts frequently, letting your stomach relearn how to process food. Yautl and other clan members bring you atole, tamales, turkey broth, chocolate, drink. Your body slowly remembers how to be alive. Weight returns, though not much. You'll probably never regain the warrior's build you had before the fever. That person is gone. This is who you are now, thin, marked, changed. When you finally walk to the palace, you bring your full regalia, not because you care about appearance, but because meeting the emperor demands it. The master painter repaints your jaguar spots with extra care, adding gold dust to certain spots to signify your seer status. Your armor is pristine, your Macahuitl sword blessed by priests, your jade ornaments polished. You look like an impressive warrior from a distance. Up close, anyone can see the deterioration, the weight loss, the haunting in your eyes. But distance is what matters at the palace. The emperor receives you in his private council chamber rather than the public throne room. This is unusual. Typically, ceremonies are public. Private audiences mean either great honor or great danger. You enter and prostrate yourself, forehead touching the polished stone floor, as protocol demands. Emperor Huitzotl speaks, "Rise, seer. Your prophecy has troubled my sleep for 3 days. The priests are divided. Some say you speak truth the gods want spoken. Others say you speak heresy that undermines our legitimacy. I want to hear directly from you. Do the gods truly show you the empire's end?" You rise, meeting his eyes. Another breach of protocol, but he doesn't reprimand you. "The gods show me patterns, Majesty. Mathematics written in blood and stone. The pattern is clear. Exponential growth cannot continue infinitely. The ceremony we witnessed was magnificent, unprecedented, powerful. It was also unsustainable. 20,000 sacrifices required 20,000 captures. 20,000 captures required military campaigns across vast territories. Those campaigns require warriors, supplies, administrative capacity. Each expansion adds complexity. Complexity adds fragility. Eventually, the system becomes too complex to maintain. Then it fractures. The emperor is silent, his face unreadable behind his elaborate face paint and towering headdress. Finally, "And the strangers from the east, the bearded ones, in your vision?" They come when the fracture is already deep. They don't break the empire. They inherit its ruins. They bring different gods, different mathematics, different patterns. Some of us adapt, some resist, some die. The civilization transforms into something new, not destroyed, transformed. A Huitzotl stands, begins pacing, a sign of agitation from someone who normally maintains perfect stillness. The priests tell me similar patterns appear in our own history. The Toltecs before us collapsed, not from external invasion but internal dissolution. We rose from their ruins. If your vision is true, then someone rises from our ruins. He stops, looks at you directly. Are you loyal to me, to this empire, or to what comes after? The question is a trap. Any answer condemns you. If you claim loyalty to the empire, you're admitting your prophecy is false. If you claim loyalty to the future, you're confessing treason. You choose truth. I'm loyal to what's true, Majesty. The empire is true now. The transformation is true later. Both can be served by the same person at different times. The emperor considers your answer for a long moment that stretches into discomfort. Then, unexpectedly, he laughs, not mockery, but genuine appreciation. Truth speakers are rare at court. Most tell me what I want to hear. You tell me what I don't want to believe, but probably should. He returns to his seat, the moment of vulnerability passing as imperial bearing reasserts itself. Very well. Your prophecy will be recorded in the sacred books, but not as condemnation. As preparation, if transformation comes, let it be written that Emperor Huitzotl foresaw it and prepared his people as best he could. He makes a gesture and scribes appear from behind a screen. You didn't realize they were listening, recording this entire. This is how history gets written, private conversations frozen into official chronicle. The scribes carry amate paper books, their brushes already loaded with ink. The emperor dictates, in the 9th year of Huitzotl's reign, following the rededication of the Great Pyramid, the gods sent visions to the warrior Chimali, granting him sight beyond the present. He prophesied transformation from the east, strangers bearing different gods, and the evolution of our civilization into forms unknown. The emperor, in his wisdom, acknowledges all empires change. The fifth sun will end as previous suns ended. But endings, the people who survive the transformation will carry forward what is valuable and release what is not. Let this be remembered. You're dismissed with honor rather than punishment. Outside the council chamber, Yautl waits for you, along with Itzcoatl and several other Jaguar warriors. They've come as support in case you didn't emerge. Seeing you alive and unpunished, they relax. Itzcoatl grins. The seer survives again. Your luck is legendary. Or maybe it's not luck. Maybe you really do see the future. I see patterns. You respond tiredly. The future is just patterns repeating at larger scales. The Emperor understands this. He's smarter than people think. He knows the empire can't last forever, but he'll try to extend it as long as possible. That's his duty. My duty is remembering and witnessing. When the transformation comes, someone needs to explain what we were, why we were, what we meant. That's why I'm still alive. Not luck, purpose. The group walks together through Tenochtitlan's streets, the sacred precinct now cleaned and quiet after 4 days of ceremony. The Great Pyramid looms behind you, its stairs still faintly stained despite washing. That stain will remain for decades. A permanent reminder. 32 years. Spanish conquistadors will climb those stairs and plant their cross where the temples of Tlaloc and Huitzilopochtli stood. You've seen it in your vision. You'll witness it in life. And somehow, you'll survive to explain it all to whoever comes after. Iñátl speaks quietly. I'm still going to Oaxaca, the frontier garrison. I need distance from this city and these memories. But if you come too, I'd be honored. We could serve together, far from prophecy and emperors and blood-stained pyramids. You want to say yes. You want to run to the frontier, embrace simple warfare, forget the past 4 days and the visions they produced. But you can't. I have to stay. The Emperor marked me as seer. The gods marked me with visions. When the transformation comes, I need to be here to witness it, to explain it, to help people understand what's being lost and what's being gained. This is my role now. I didn't choose it, but I can't abandon it. Iñátl nods, accepting your decision, though clearly disappointed. Then I'll see you when I return for festival days. Try to survive until then, brother. Your visions keep showing you the future, so presumably you make it there alive. But survival isn't living. Remember to live sometimes, too. Months pass. Your body recovers slowly, though you never regain your pre-fever build. You remain thin, marked by illness and witness. The Jade Seer's pendant becomes your primary identifier. People now call you the Seer, more often than your name. Your military duties continue, but with modifications. You're assigned to ceremonial guard rather than active campaigns. The Emperor wants you close, available for consultation when troubling omens appear or difficult decisions loom. The visions don't return with the clarity of the fever dream, but you experience them differently now. As intuitions, sudden knowings, patterns visible to you that others don't see. When merchants report unusual weather patterns from the Gulf Coast, you know storms will threaten the harvest. When priests notice Venus's irregular path, you know political tensions will escalate. None of this is mystical. It's observation combined with understanding of complex systems. But people interpret it as prophecy, and you don't correct them. Let them think the gods speak through you. The truth, that you simply pay attention, is less comforting. Years pass. The empire continues its expansion, but at slower pace. The easy conquests are complete. What remains are either too far away, too mountainous, or too populous to conquer easily. The mathematics you explained to the emperor prove correct. Growth slows. Tribute continues, but doesn't increase exponentially. The sacrifices continue, but at normal scale, nothing approaching the rededication ceremony's extremity. That 4-day event stands alone in history, exactly as intended, unprecedented and unrepeatable. You're 35 years old when the first rumors arrive from the Gulf Coast. Ships, enormous ships unlike any known in Mesoamerica, have appeared on the eastern horizon. The ships have wings of fabric that catch wind. The men inside have hair on their faces, pale skin, and wear metal clothing. They're searching for something, trading with coastal villages, asking about wealthy cities in the interior. The descriptions match your vision exactly. The bearded strangers have arrived. The emperor summons you immediately. You've maintained your role as seer and advisor for 12 years now, through multiple crises and campaigns. Huitzilopochtli is older, grayer, still powerful but visibly aged by empire's burdens. He looks at you with expression mixing dread and vindication. Your vision was accurate. The strangers from the east are real. What do they want? Gold, majesty, knowledge, trade, conversion of souls to their gods, conquest, eventually, though they'll call it liberation or salvation or civilization. They'll offer alliance at first, positioning themselves as friends against your enemies. Some rulers will accept their help. Those rulers will discover too late that accepting help means accepting subordination. Should we destroy them? Kill them when they arrive inland? You've thought about this question for 12 years, knowing it would come. If you kill these strangers, more will come. Their empire across the ocean is larger than ours. More people, more metal, more ships. We could win the first battle, maybe the second. Eventually we'd lose, not because they're better warriors. They're not, but because they have systemic advantages we can't replicate quickly enough. Better metallurgy, different diseases that kill us but not them, writing systems that transfer knowledge across generations without requiring memorized poetry, different political structures that convert enemies into subordinates rather than requiring continuous conquest. The emperor slumps slightly, the imperial bearing cracking. So we're doomed. The empire is doomed. The people aren't. Civilizations transform. Some people die in the transformation. Some survive and adapt. Some thrive in the new system. My vision showed me wearing their armor. That means I survive by adapting. Others will do the same. In 100 years, children with both your blood and their blood will walk these streets. The civilization will be different, but not absent. Memory continues, even when structures fall.